Hello everyone and welcome to episode 5 of our Raspberry Pi series, and today we're going to be looking at how to install and configure OMV, which is Openmediavault, on a Raspberry Pi. If you've been following along with our series, you will be at the same place that we are, but if you haven't, I recommend that you go back, follow the steps that we've taken in the previous videos so that you can get up to date of where we're going to start from today. So just briefly, what we've done is we've installed Raspberry Pi OS onto a Raspberry Pi. We have configured the Raspberry Pi now to be secure. So now what we're going to do now is we're going to turn our Raspberry Pi into a NAS, which is a network attached storage. Openmediavault is very powerful in what it does. It gives you full administration of your server. So within the Openmediavault interface, you can install applications, you can install plugins, you can also install services that you need to use. You can administrate shares, you can control user access. Openmediavault is primarily designed to be used in small offices and home offices, but it's not limited to them scenarios. There's so much you can do within the Openmediavault interface. It is a must-have for anyone who wants to have a home NAS solution. And the primary reason why we're installing Openmediavault on our Raspberry Pi is so that we can open up some shares so that we can access them over the network. We're going to house our media on there so that we can serve a Plex system. We are going to install Docker containers. We are also going to install Portainer so that we can administrate the Docker containers, and from within there we can actually create containers, remove containers, or we can even create stacks. I mean, it's a great bit of software, and we're going to show you how to use that. Okay, so we're going to get started. So today we are on Windows 10, and we're going to run our putty application to open a terminal. If you don't have putty installed, then you can install it by following the link in the description. So what I'm going to do is we're going to connect to our Raspberry Pi. If you know your IP address, then put it in here. If not, there'll be a link in the description on how to find your IP address. So we're going to 192.168.2 and mine is .5. And we changed our port in previous videos, so mine's 1984. And then we're going to connect. And then we changed our user, so mine's user 1. And then our password. Okay, we're in. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do an update and an upgrade, just to make sure everything, all the packages are up to date. So sudo apt get update. This could take a little while to finish. It's normally pretty good though on an update. It's normally the upgrade that takes a little bit longer. Okay, that's done. So then we're going to do sudo apt upgrade -y. Okay, now that's finished. What we're going to do is we're going to go sudo rm for remove -f /etc /systemd /network /99 default .link. You can find a list of all the commands that we run today on our blog post. If you look in the description, you will find it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to press enter. To complete all this and make sure everything is updated correctly, we're just going to go sudo, and then we're going to reboot. Okay. Okay, so we're just going to ping. So we're just going to ping the Raspberry Pi, see if it's come back online yet. And as you can see, it's got a reply. That's fantastic. So we can reconnect to it. So we'll open a fresh window. And we'll reconnect. So it's user 1. Okay, we're back in. So the next command we're going to run is a single command. It's a bash command which is going to run a install file from GitHub. So we're going to run this one line. It will download all the files that we need from GitHub. It will execute a bash script which will then go through the whole process of installing Openmediavault. This could actually take up to half an hour to run and finish. So once you run this command, you can pop off and have a cup of tea, and I'll see you when we get back. If you guys are enjoying our content, if you can give us a like and a subscribe, that will be great. If you click the notification bell, you'll be notified of any new content that we put up. If you want to support our channel, we provide affiliate links on our videos and in the description below, as well as on our website. We source all the best products that we can find at good prices. As if you guys want to use any of our affiliate links, all you're doing is you're just giving a little bit back to our channel. We get a little commission back off these sales, and it helps support our channel so we can make more content. So when the script's finished, it will reboot the Raspberry Pi. So we need to see when that comes back online. And as you can see, it's come back online now. So what we can do is you cross out of here. We can now open a browser window. So I'm using Firefox. And then from here, we can go to 192.168.2.5. Now you may get a security warning there. If you do, just accept it and then accept the risks, and then it should open up this window. Now the default credentials to log in is admin and Openmediavault. And we are now in. So now that we've finished installing Openmediavault, we're now going to configure it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start in the left-hand menu, and we're going to work our way down. So we're going to go to General Settings, and then we're going to go to Web Administrator Password, and then we're going to give a brand new password to our Openmediavault admin user account, which is completely different to your user account that you've used through SSH. So we need to set a password here. And once you've put the same password in twice, click Save. Okay, so now that should have saved through. So we're going to open up a new window. And we're going to log out. And then we're going to log in with our new credentials. So be aware at this stage, we are just using HTTPS. So anything typed through here is not secure. We're going to sort that out in a minute. So the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to create an SSL certificate so that we can have a green padlock here. So any information we're sending to the Openmediavault interface will be encrypted. So we're going to come down to certificates, and then under SSL, we're going to click add, and then key size is fine, period. We're going to make this 25 years. So that it doesn't keep asking you to renew the self-certificate. So we'll leave 25 years on there. You can leave all the other areas blank and just click Save. Just select the country that you're in. I'm in United Kingdom. And then click Save. Okay, so now we're going to apply the changes. Yes. Okay, that's done. So we're going to go back to General Settings again. And then under this Web Administration, we're going to enable SSL. And then we're going to select the certificate that we've just created. And then on port 443. Now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to force it straight away just in case we can't connect. Okay, in case there's any problems. So what we're going to do is we're just going to save this. And then we need to apply it. Now the reason I haven't forced it is in case we have any trouble trying to reconnect to the interface, we can still get in through just standard HTTP. But hopefully this will let us access via the secure protocol. Okay, you'll get this error that's occurred. That's fine. If you press OK on that, it's still gone through in the background. There's no problem. It just, for some reason, it's a bit buggy. It does that. So we're going to put https // and then we're going to go 192.168.2.5. And then again, you'll get that security risk come up. Accept the risk and continue. So as you can see up here now, we now have a padlock, which means anything sent between here and our server is encrypted, which is great. It's what we want. Okay, what we're going to do next, because we are going to be using reverse proxies and other things later on, we need to use the default port 80 and port 443 ports. So what we're going to do is we're going to change these ports to something else. So I'm going to change 80 to 8080, and I'm going to change 443 to 4443. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click on save. And then it should prompt us for the change. There you are. And then click apply. And then yes. Again, ignore the error. It always seems to happen in this web administration interface for some reason. Just click OK. So that should be done now. So what we're going to do is we're going to open a new window. https // and then we're going to go 192.168.2.5 and then port 4443. And then we'll get that warning again. So we're just going to go advanced, accept risk and continue, and we are now connected to the new port with the SSL certificate working. It says connection not secure, but that's a fine because it's just because it's a self certified certificate. So if you look down here, you'll see AES 128 blah blah blah. So we're connected and it's encrypted. Okay, so the final thing we need to do in this web administration panel is just to force SSL TLS. So what this means is if we try to connect through HTTP, it will redirect us to HTTPS and then click save. And again, it should ask us to apply the changes. And then we're going to click yes. Again, ignore the error. Now we're going to reconnect again with https // 192.168.2.5 and then we're on port 4443. And there you are, everything's set up correctly. I'm going to move on from here. We've done both these sections. This is all configured correctly. We're going to change our date and time. So wherever you are in the world, these may be set correctly, but you might want to change them. Mine are fine. And then we're going to click on the next down the line, which is network. And you can see my host name is Raspberry Pi. I'm going to change this to server 5 because it's 192.168.2.5. So I like to put server 5. And then we're going to save that. And then we're going to apply. You can call that host name anything that you want. Next thing we're going to do is go to interfaces. And we're going to look at our interface. It's DHCP. We're going to set this to static. And then we're going to put our IP address is 192.168.2.5. You put whatever yours is in there. And the network mask on mine is 255.255.255.0. And my gateway is my router IP address is 192.168.2.1. And you can find out this information easily by going to CMD and you get IP config and you can see your default gateway and you can see your subnet mask, and ignore that IP address because that's just for my Windows machine. but we know what our IP address, we know it's 192.168.2.5 in our case. So you put that, and then you put them two into the other two sections here. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is IP version 6. I'll just disable it, it's not needed. And DNS servers, I would set these as probably Google's. I set these as 8.8.8.8. There's a whole lot of DNS services that you can use online. I'll probably go into that at some point in the post, but for now, Google's fine. And then once you've completed all them fields, we are just going to click on Save. And that should be that. And apply the changes. And then yes. Okay, so now that's finished. We're going to just take this address again, and we are just going to connect to make sure everything's okay again, which it is. Absolutely perfect. So we can click out of that again. Right, now I'm going to look for proxy. I'm not going to set anything here, so that's fine. Firewall, we're not going to turn this on either at the minute. I'm just going to leave that off. So the next step is notifications. So notifications can be helpful if there's any problems going on with your server. You'll get an email from it just letting you know. Can be helpful, can be a bit spammy as well. So it's up to you if you want to use it. If you have a hosting service with anyone else, you can set in your SMTP settings in here. So the notifications can be sent to more than one email address, which is helpful. Personally, I'm not going to set this up for now. You know, it's a bit of an advanced step. It's not really, I mean, as I said, a lot of the sort of system emails you get are very spammy. You know, they're just event logs and things like that. But you know, if you really want to keep an eye on your server, then you know, I would definitely advise setting this up. But just for our use, you know, obviously if you can connect to the server, everything's working fine, there's no problem. If it cuts off, then you know, then you can come and investigate. But for this now, I would leave notifications. So we're going to move down the line to power management. Again, I would leave that. Schedule jobs is quite helpful, and if you have a look in here, you can schedule reboots if you want to. So you can do it periodically, just to make sure that maybe, you know, it applies some updates maybe or something like that. But personally, never used it. We've been into certificates. You can issue SSH certificates from in here as well as SSLs. There's a little bit more to it with the SSH certificates in Openmediavault. There's a few more extra steps that you might need to do with them to get the SSH to work through the interface. Personally, because we've got SSH access to the Raspberry Pi OS, you know, I don't really set the SSH keys in here at all, but you can do that to manage them and keep them all in one place. So moving on. Now this schedule job's slightly different to what we've seen before. This is actually for setting any cron jobs that you want to automatically run on your Raspberry Pi. But literally, it's just for running cron jobs. So you can, you know, you can run certain tasks, which is it's really helpful to have that in the interface. But you know, again, I personally like to set these via cron tab, which I'll show you later on when we do need to run and execute commands through cron tab. So I'll do that there. Next, moving on, update management. So what I would do is just do a fresh check to make sure that everything is pulled down, all the new kernel packages and all the new applications and packages are up to date. So we're just going to refresh it. Okay, so there's a couple of updates here. So what we're going to do straight away is we're going to install them. What I would recommend is to come in here maybe once a month and just give it a quick check and then install any updates that are run. You shouldn't have to reboot it. If you do, then give it a quick reboot. It's fine. And obviously anything that you're running on there, make sure that all them services restart on reboot. Very simple to do. We'll get into that after. Now it's done. Click close. And if you check again, you shouldn't have any new updates. So there's lots of packages in here that's ready to be installed. You know, there's some great software in here. There's a couple that's already installed. Now this flash memory gets installed during the installation process, so it's automatic. Mostly so it doesn't, you know, overrun SD cards. You know, it tries to limit the writes to the SD cards, trying to preserve the life of it. Again, it's not really needed when you're running from an SSD drive, which we are, but It's not going to harm to keep that on, so I'm just going to leave it on. It makes no difference. Another thing I like to use here, Lux encryption. So this is great if you are running any external drives and you want to encrypt them. So you can put Lux encryption on that, and then this, once you enable this, it gives you an encryption menu here. You click on that, click on your drive, and you can enter your key and unlock it. It's very helpful. All the packages are in subcategories, so there's admin, backup packages, downloaders, file system packages, monitoring packages, multimedia, network packaging, and remote, so even open VPNs there, sharing, utilities. It's very good that they've got this kind of system built into it. But anyway, but what we're going to do now is we're going to move down. We're going to click on OMV extras, okay, and then we're going to click on Docker. Now what we want to do is install Docker onto our Raspberry Pi. So the default location for me is fine. Now if you guys are using a SD card, you don't want to be writing Docker to that, because basically it'll be running the Docker containers on your SD card. So depending on what drives you've got connected to your system, you will need to configure this to match them. Now during the installation process of Openmediavault, it changed our SSH port. As you can see, it changed it to 22. So what we're going to do is we're going to change that back to 1984, just by simply putting it in there and pressing save, and then applying the change, and then yes. So what we've got to do now as well is we need to go back to the user account and then click on user and then click edit, and just make sure that our password is what we set originally. I mean, this is obviously only if you have any difficulty logging in through SSH. So we basically reset the password, and then we're going to click apply and then yes. And what we're also going to do for the user one account is we're going to click on edit, and then groups, and then come down to SSH, tick the box for SSH and click save. And now it's on there with the groups, and we're going to apply the changes. Yes, please. Then we're going to open up a fresh putty terminal. And there you are, we're back in again. So if you get any problems with SSH after you finish installing Openmediavault, then take them steps and that should fix it. So we've come back into the Docker settings, which is in OMV extras, Docker. Okay, so now we're looking at the Docker storage. If you have installed your Raspberry Pi OS onto your SSD drive, then I would recommend just leaving these settings the way they are. But if you have followed our SD card install guide, I recommend changing these settings to the following. So now we've got our putty window up, what we're going to do is we're going to look at our storage that we have on our device by doing sudo fdisk -al for list. And as you can see on our device, we have our SSD drive installed, and then we have our external 1 terabyte drive attached to the USB 3.0 port. So what we want to do is, say you weren't using an SSD, okay, so let's say this was your drive and it was an SD card of maybe 32 gigabyte. You don't want to be installing your Dockers onto that. So what you would actually use is the external drive. So how you would do that is you come to disks, make sure your disks are showing up. As you can see, I've got 2 disks in here, and it shows the model number. So what we're going to do is we're looking at this drive here, SDB. Right, it's currently attached to the Raspberry Pi, but it's not actually mounted. What we can do is select the disk, and you can click wipe, and then you can format that disk as well. I currently don't want to do that. I've actually got data on there that I don't want to lose. So what we can click on is File Systems, And as you can see, there's our drive, but you can see that it's not mounted. So what we can do is click on this drive here, which is my blue drive, and I'm going to click mount, and then click apply for the settings to take effect. Okay, so that's mounted now. So what we're going to do is, if you come into your putty window, so you can see your drives here now. Openmediavault likes to mount drives in this location, so it's CD to go to the current directory, srv / if you click here in srv and then click ls to list the drives, you can see that we have our drive, which is here. And as you see, I've got some containers and some Dockers in it, as well as a Nextcloud instance. So I'm just going to clear that out now. So we want to store Docker onto this drive to stop our SD card from being written to too many times, which will cause your SD card to have some data corruption, or it could even cause it to fail completely, which it has done in the past for me. So personally, it is best to use an external drive when possible. So what we're going to do, pwd to print working directory, and we're going to take this location here, and then we're going to come back into our OMV extras and then Docker, and then we're going to install Docker into here / Docker. And it says it's not installed. So what we're going to do now we've done that, we're going to click save. And then we're going to click under the tab here where it says Docker. We're going to click the little icon that comes down, and then we're going to click install. Then we can click close when we're done. And you see it says it's installed and running. So we come back to our putty window. Let's clear out what's in here. We're going to go sudo docker ps. You see there's nothing installed on it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to install Portainer. Portainer is basically a Docker manager, so you can add containers through there, you can use stacks, and it's really good for managing your containers. Right, now it's done that. Now what you can see now is this Open Portainer link has opened. So if you click on Open Portainer, it will lead you to a new window. So from here, you can add in a secure password for Portainer, and then confirm it, and then click Create User. And then what we're going to do now is we're just going to click Docker, and then we're going to click Connect. And that's all you've got to do to get Portainer installed. So within Portainer, you can see it has one container running, which is Portainer. And as you can see, Portainer is installed. So what we're going to do now we've installed Docker and Portainer, we're going to move our way down the list again. So again, disk, we looked at that briefly. This will just display what disk you've got. From within disk, you can wipe it, you can edit the names, and you can do other things. You can add power management to it. You can spin down the drive when it's not being used. You can do several things with the drive, which is great. It also has a smart check moving down. So we're going to enable this. And then we are going to click on this drive. We're going to click edit, and we're going to activate smart monitoring. So this is on our external 1 TB drive. Click save. Under scheduled tests, we're going to click add, and then we're going to go on our drive, short self test, and we're going to do that 11 o'clock every night. So that will give it a little test at 11 o'clock every night, just to make sure that the drive is functioning correctly. Obviously, if you have notifications enabled, you will get an email when these tests find anything. So that's another good thing about having notifications if you choose to go down that route. But what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to RAID management. We're not using RAID, so we don't really need to do anything in there. So we've got our file systems. So if you're using a brand new drive that needs to be formatted, you can click on the drive itself. So let's say our 1 terabyte drive here. And then you can, from here, create a file partition on there. So you can choose the format that you want. Mine's external 4 because that works with Linux systems very well. So now we have the flash memory plugin, which was installed during the Openmediavault installation. We're not going to use it really. I mean, it's enabled, I believe, but we're not going to use it. So we're going to move down the line. User accounts. So you can add, as you can see, we've got 2 user accounts. During the Openmediavault installation, it's added SSH to Pi. So you can, from within here, reduce the permissions of that user if you're not going to use it. Personally, I'll just take off SSH. I would just remove SSH from within here just to double check that there's no access going on there. And once we finish taking away the SSH group, we're going to just click apply. You can add as many users as you want. So let's say you had multiple users on your network, say you had children and your wife. You can add a user account for each one of them. You can also add a network share folder for each of them, and you can store their files within there. Only they can access them folders, and you can lock them down with permissions. Currently, I have user 1 and Pi. I'm quite happy with that. User 1 is what I'm going to be using with all of my Docker containers. So what we're going to do is we're going to click Edit under user 1 and go to Groups. And we're just going to check that it has the right groups. So we're going to select Docker. And Samba Share. And then we're going to click Save. Then we're going to click Apply. And then Yes. Okay, so what we're going to do from now is move our way down the line again. So we're going to look at the groups. We can see that there is 2 groups, user 1 group and Pi group, which is fine. We don't need to do anything here. So the next section is shared folders. Now, if you want to add a shared folder that you can see on the network, you can click Add. And I'm going to call this Test. And it's going to be linked to our blue drive. And then we're going to click to the path is going to be test /. So this is where you can set the permissions for the folder. So what I'm going to do with this one is just put everyone read and write, because we're just testing it to see if it works. Click Save. And then click Apply. So we've created that share, but we haven't actually activated it because it's not referenced. So what you need to do now is we're going to work our way down. Just remember that we set this test folder ready to go as we work our way down the list. So the next thing we're going to look at is FTP. We don't need to set up FTP access for now, or NFS, or rsync for now. But under SMB CIFS, we want to enable CIFS shares. So we click on Enable. Okay, we don't need to change anything else here. So we're going to click Save, then click Apply, and then Yes. Okay, now what we've got to do is click on Shares, and then we're going to add the share. So here is the folder that we created on our blue drive, and we want to make it public. So we're going to say Only Guests, and then we're going to scroll down here, and just because it's a test folder, we're not going to be locking it down, doing anything secure on it. We're just going to click Save, and then click Apply, and then Yes. So what we've done now, if you go back to where it says shared folders, you'll now see it says referenced yes. Because I'm on Windows, I will click on File Explorer, and then I will put in // and then server 5. That was my server name. You put whatever your server name is that you changed in your configuration, and there you can see our test folder. And you should be able to create folders. You should be able to write text documents, edit them, and it works as a file server. Fantastic. That's exactly what we want. So that's how you create shares, just open shares for anyone to use. Okay, so working our way down now. We've done SSH, we've covered that. We have our dashboard. Now the dashboard, it can be configured. So what I like to do on here, so I can keep an eye on everything. If you click on add, you can add your network interface, and you can also add your file systems. So I like to bring this up a bit. So it shows you all your network interfaces. It shows you what speed they're running at. So they're both running at a gigabit, which is good. And this is a local loopback address and the wireless LAN, which should be disabled, which it is. It has no IP address. So what we're going to do is you can change these any way you want. So I like to be able to see them all. So you can see what services are running. So NFS, rsync is off. SMB CIF is running because we just turned it on, and SSH is running, which is exactly what we want to see. So here is our boot drive. Here is our root. And this is our blue drive that we've got connected. Tells you a little bit about your system. This might be nice to have that at the top. Again, just expand the column if you want to see everything. And in here it shows you your CPU usage and your memory usage. Very helpful. Making sure that it's not being overrun by any process. Yeah, it's really nice interface. It looks great. Moving down the list, we're going to click on system information. Again, this just tells you a little bit more detail about your processor, about what's running, what processes are running. So you can come in here and see exactly what's running, what's using your memory, what's using your CPU. And you can refresh this to see the real-time values. So you see top, which is what I'm using now, which is top. That seems to be running. So you can go performance statistics. We currently shouldn't really have many in here because it's not been running long. So in performance statistics, once you've refreshed it, you should be able to see how it's been running. Obviously our system's quite new, so we're not going to have much data in there. And you can refresh it again. This shows you your disk usage on your drives. And you can select the drive that you want to look at and then refresh. So it's showing the root file system, but it's struggling to show the USB, which is fine. So obviously it's got some issues with showing USB drives. It's not a problem. Load averages, brilliant. Memory usage, network interfaces, what's coming in and out, and your uptime. Moving down the line, system logs. This is a great area for checking to see what's happening with your system. If you have any problems, you come and find the syslog. You can have a look from here. You can see smart information. See the boot information. I mean, really, really in-depth. All the rsync jobs. I don't think there is any. Rsync's not set up. You can see who's been in and out. So all the authentications for closed servers. So you've got root account, user mod, delete Pi from group. So you can see everything that's been done. This is good for looking to see if anyone's got into your system or had access to it. So it's good to have a look through this file now and then, just to make sure everything's working the way it should be. All your kernel messages in there. Yeah, really helpful. If you have any problems with your system, come into the logs, always check in here. This is a great place for problem solving and finding out what is happening with your system. You can also enable a remote syslog so that all your syslog files get sent somewhere else so that they can't be tampered with. And you know, if someone gets access to this system, then you can go back there and look through the logs so they can't be changed in any way. So you can see if it's had any access or anyone's hacked into your system, which is again great. So what we're going to do, move down the line to services. Just again shows you the running services and what's enabled. And this just shows you the PID. If you want to know who's connected to your SSH through sessions, another security measure you can take is to come into here. So you come to services, SSH, and you can see the connections. So if we go to putty, and then connect on 1984, open, Okay, if you're coming in, refresh, you can see that we are established. You can see exactly who's come in. Now it says root as well because I believe that's because of the sudo privileges it has, so it's clocked on both. But there you are. You can see who's logged in and their IP address of where they're from. So that's my system IP address, what time they accessed it. Down here you've got donate, and you can donate to the project, which, you know, I recommend you do if you support it, if you use it. You know, if you donate to the developers, they'll keep developing it, they'll make it better for you. You know, it's a win-win situation. So, you know, donating is always advisable, really. I always chuck them a few quid now and then. So yeah, if you need any support, it's got all the support links in here. And then that's it. So this concludes setting up your Openmediavault. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below, either on our website or on the YouTube channel. It just leaves me to say thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.